Hey there, good afternoon, everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here tonight for an episode of What's New. What's New is a show I do every Saturday in which I take an album that came out in 2025 and I kind of talk about the album. May give you some pertinent information, break the songs down a bit, just kind of go over the album and how I like it or don't like it, or what I like about it or what I don't like about it, just general stuff like that. So the album that we're going to be doing tonight comes from a band called Echolyn. Yes, I know, we did one last week too. So this is they put out two albums on the same day. One is called 2, the other one is called 7, but they're both titled Time Silent Radio. So this is Time Silent Radio 7. Released the same day as Time Silent Radio 2. Okay, so on this album, which was released March the 7th, 2025, recorded at the Chateau Furnace at Catapult Sound in Smithville. It's about 45 minutes in length, maybe a little more, maybe 45 and a half. Labeled on the Time Silent Radio label, produced by Brett Cull, and mixed and mastered by Glenn Rosenstein. So personnel for the album, or if you want, Echolyn. Brett Cull, guitars, lead, and backing vocals. Ray Weston, bass, lead, and backing vocals. Chris Busby on keyboards and backing vocals. Actually, I forgot to mention Ray also does lead. I think I said that, but I'm not 100% sure. Jordan Perlson on drums, percussion, and backing vocals. There are 3 guests on the album. Katie Barbato on backing vocals on track number 7. Glenn Rosenstein on cowbell on track number 4. And Mike Ostrich on claps and spoken word. So 7 songs in total, hence the name, hence the reason why it's called 7. The other one's called 2 because it has 2 tracks. So this album has 7 tracks, all pretty strong. There's no weak, they're all about the same. There's none that are really super strong, nothing really, really bad. They're all about 6.5 in general. Opens up with the song Radio Waves. Well, before I get too far ahead of myself. So overall, the album has, I think, a little bit more of a symphonic sound to it than 2 did. Also, I think, in my own opinion, I think there's a little bit more piano going on this album as well. The vocals are really strong, as it was on the first one. The lead vocals, either medium or high, sometimes a little bit lower than medium, but pretty standard from the 2 vocalists. And then you have a lot of multi-layered vocals, either harmonies or backing vocals or different people singing different parts at certain times. Lots of that on the album. It's kind of interesting. Not as much keyboard on this album, I think, as on the other one, but lots more piano, and just my feeling about it. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a symphonic prog rock album, but it does have its symphonic prog elements to it for sure. The drums are pretty forward in the mix at times, not always. Bass, not so much. Not as much. No, the bass isn't as noticeable as the drums are, in my opinion. The guitar riffing is good, but I think it's a little sporadic. I wish there would have been more guitar riffing on it than there was. It seemed to me like there wasn't enough of that. But the stuff that was on there was good. The soloing was decent, but not extensive. Same with the piano. The piano soloing part was, again, good, but not overly extensive. So there's not a lot of extremes on this album. They tend to stay kind of focused. Hence the reason I think that most of the songs are pretty decent on here, but nothing spectacular. There's nothing that goes off on any kind of lengthy solo or lengthy drum beat or any of that stuff. It's all pretty mainstream sounding in a lot of ways. So, opening track, Radio Waves. It's got some background noises to open and also to end the song. Both. It starts with this kind of noise beginning and noise at the end. I think it sounds like a radio. It makes sense since the song's called Radio Waves. Piano and guitar, heavy in the beginning, not so heavy towards the middle and end of the song. The vocals feel almost Supertramp-like. There's At times it kind of feels like a Hodgson feel, but it's not quite high enough and not in the consistency that you would normally get from Hodgson, but it definitely has that kind of feel to it. The harmony backing vocals are heavy and very frontal and very strong. This song's piano dominated pretty much and has a nice catchy rhythm and sounds with some hooks in there. Probably the one song that I noticed that a lot on. So that's the first song. The second song, Silent Years, it's got a bit more of a mellow opening, lots of synthesizers and keyboard parts here. Multi-layered vocals, a lot of this going on in this song. Piano dominated again. I would say it's got some kind of heavy riffing at times, melodic track, but some heavy riffing. Not a lot of it, but a little bit. And it's got a strong dominant drum fills at points in this song too. This is the one song I noticed the drum in quite a bit. And the guitar soloing was a little bit more extensive. So this is probably my favorite song on the album, Silent Years. Next up is Cul-de-sac and Tunnels. This has got a nice synthesizer opening with some piano. It's melodic, slow. The vocals are forward, but smooth and strong, and very good production here. Multi-vocaled part is heavy, and the acoustic guitar, this is an acoustic guitar part that also has an electric guitar solo kind of behind it. So the electric guitar is toned down quite a bit in the mix, so a little bit further back. And then it ends with this kind of wind effect, which kind of ends up being almost spacey towards the end of the song. So that's Cul-de-sac. So the next track up is Boulders on Hills. Boulders on Hills. Heavy riff to open. The lead vocals are, kind of in the medium range, nothing too high or too low, with some vocal backups, like some backup singing while he's singing. There's a heavy rhythm section here. It's got a slow melodic kind of heavy part with some guitar picking parts towards it as well. Lots of piano again throughout this track. And it's a little bit slow melodic with a kind of piano dominated part towards the end too. Very, very kind of piano dominated track. And next up, Our Brilliant Next. Noises with some guitar parts in there, just odd noises. A little bit of distorted guitar or keyboard. I can't really sure which one it is, but there's a little bit of that. Not enough that really you would notice unless you were sitting down and listened to it directly, but it's definitely there. Piano with a multi and singular vocals in intermittent. So you've got one guy singing and then others coming in and doing stuff too. It becomes more atmospheric, more towards the center of the song. Sorry, I lost my track of thought there for a sec. The guitar solo is almost flamenco-like, or that where they use their fingers to go like this. There's a little bit of an imprint of that, but they're not actually doing that. That's for sure. But it feels like that when I'm listening to it. Lots of background and symphonic sounds throughout the track. Again, it closes with the piano. One We Blur is the next track. Middle of an up-tempo rhythm section here. Vocals are clear, deeper, but kind of mid-range at times too. Multi-vocals join in throughout the song. It's a heavy piano, keyboard, guitar part towards the back end of the song, and it kind of ends with this kind of symphonic, atmospheric kind of feel. The last song, Tiny Star, this was the other song I liked a little more than the rest. It's got a kind of an atmospheric opening with piano and drum dominated part at the beginning. The vocals are smooth, frontal, clear, well produced. Heavy multi-vocal, up-tempo symphonic sounds going on throughout it as well. I say it kind of slows down at one point on the vocals, and they're accompanying with these backing vocals, so there's this kind of slow period of the song. Then you have a layered multi-vocal part again, a very atmospheric symphonic sound, which kind of gives it that grandiose feeling, like that, like you're in a hall with a bunch of people singing kind of feeling. And then there's a kind of a spacey part that's almost void-like, like it feels like that noise they use in a lot of science fictions when you're traveling through the void. And then there's a kind of a heavy guitar riff with a nice piano part towards the end of the album song, which is pretty good. I did like this track. It lended itself to easy listening, which I liked. So overall, I like the album. I don't think it's going to be a top 10 for me this year, but or it might make the top 20 though. I'm pretty sure it'll make the top 20. But I think I like this one maybe a little bit more overall than the other album. But the other album had a couple of parts that I think I liked more than anything on this. But overall, I thought it was a pretty strong album. Very clear on the production. Nice use of all their instruments. Nothing too overbearing, but just enough to keep everything interesting. So that's my take on Echolyn's Time Silent Radio number 7. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to make any comments about Echolyn, about either of the two albums or this one in particular, you can do that in the comment section. And we will see you next week on What's New. So have yourself a good evening and goodbye here from Prog Monster.